Hey Canucks fans, I think it's safe to say that PD is back. All we had to do was give him a bit of time. I'm Canuck Clay, and this is my Canucks Take All in One Take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, February the 22nd. Yes, 2-2-2-2-2-2. If you're new, here's what you should do. It all rhymes. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. Great game last night. That's a team that the Canucks should have beat, and they did. They easily handled the Seattle Kraken 5-2. Was at that game, got to meet in person Nadia Popovic, and overall it was a really great night. And thanks to those who watched the post-game video that I did and then joined Parker and me for Canucks After Dark. And one of the main talking points from last night, aside from the stellar play of our fourth line of Mott, Lamico, and Highmore, but I can talk about that later this week. Aside from that was the stellar play of Elias Pettersson, not just last night, but overall. And now with his assist last night on Podkolzin's goal, it was an assist. Yeah, it was an assist. Oh, actually, was it the Podkolzin goal or was it the power play goal? No, it's the Podkolzin goal. I think he's now up to 17 points in the last 15 games. So 17 points in the last 15 games, and that's obviously over a point per game. And then under Bruce Boudreau, he actually has 22 points in 27 games. Very close. Actually, that's right on average with his pace from last year. Last year, he had 21 points in 26 games, a .80 points per game. Now under Boudreau, he has 22 and 27, basically the same thing, .81 points per game. What was tough is under Travis Green, he only had 12 points in 25 games. So that is obviously less than 0.5 points per game, scoring at a clip that's less than 1 out of every 2 games. So he only had 12 and 25 under Green. Now he has 22 and 27 under Boudreau. So that's why Pettersson now has 34 points in 52 games. So he slowly brought it up to a 0.65 points per game. If he keeps going, that'll probably end up in the 0.75 points per game. So I still think he's going to wind up with about 60 points this season. And given how poor the start of a season was, that's actually not bad. Now, he was basically a point per game in his first 2 seasons. Then he dropped a little bit last year, but then he suffered that injury. Then, of course, a horrible start to the season. And you guys remember, at the start of the season, people were really worried. That contract's looking so bad, or maybe he's not as untouchable as we thought. No, I think the past 2 months under Boudreau, and especially in the past month, the last 15 games where he has 17 points, he's showing that he is going to be worth every penny of that 3-year contract, worth $7.35 million. And yes, he's going to be due for a big raise at the end of those 3 years, but I'd say everyone's saying that he's one of our 3 foundational players. You have him, you have Hughes, and you have Demko. You have one player at each position. You have your first line center, even though Miller's getting first line minutes, but in essence, you have your first line center, you have your first D-man, and you have an all-star caliber goalie. Now, let's talk about why PD had such a slow start and why people were concerned. And I get why people were concerned. It probably didn't help. So he only played the first half of last season. He played 26 games, and then he got hurt in that game in early March. Didn't finish the season. And then, of course, he was rehabbing his wrist injury. And at the same time, he was holding out, might be too strong a term, but yeah, he wasn't in training camp because of no contract. And him and Quinn Hughes both missed training camp. So no one was worried that he wasn't going to sign. No one was worried that he was going to, hold the team hostage, so to speak. Maybe it's not the best term. But you had all the other players reporting to camp, and Pettersson and Hughes weren't there. Then PD wasn't there at the start of camp, and then he signs halfway through the preseason. So then he's got to get up to speed through the preseason. He only plays only a couple of the preseason games. And if you just picture it, any athlete, no matter how good you are, if you are, in essence, so he missed training camp and then half of preseason, he was basically 2 or 3 weeks behind, even a month behind. Add to that he was rehabbing from an injury, you could argue that he was 2 months behind. So it kind of makes sense that he didn't really get going until 2 months into the season, in the middle of December, and it kind of corresponded with the coaching change from Green to Boudreau. And it was very interesting. In yesterday's postgame, I'm not sure if you guys saw it, he actually, when they were talking about how he's found his game, how he's been over a point per game the last month or so, he mentioned that he didn't feel good coming out of preseason at the start of the regular season. He actually admitted that he still had his wrist heavily taped. And I think this was the first, I'm not sure if we ever saw any physical evidence, but I think this is the first that we heard Pettersson basically admit that his wrist was still bothering him. And he even caught himself in last night's media availability. He says, oh, he actually paused. He kind of did a quick nervous giggle, and he basically said something like, oh, I think I've just given you a headline, or now this is going to be headlines. But yeah, it's very important to recognize that he, in essence, is admitting that he didn't come into the season at 100%, despite what he said, despite the brave face he put on, because the evidence was there. He just admitted that he had his wrist tape for, I don't know how long, for at least probably a few weeks. So add up the fact that he wasn't 100%, to his slow start, i.e., conditioning-wise, getting used to acclimated to his new teammates, all that stuff, it makes sense that he had a rough first 2 months. Now, of course, the whole problems of the Vancouver Canucks, it wasn't because of Pettersson, but he was kind of like the not the whipping boy, but the poster boy to what the Canucks were struggling with. And a lot of people point to the Canucks struggles, and they say they start with PD. Well, the Canucks have played a lot better the last 2 months. Yes, of course, the Boudreau bump, and Demko's been amazing, and Miller's been good, and Hughes. But PD is a big part of that as well. So I think it's safe to say that the pace he's on, I think he will get to 60 points. He'll end up at a 0.75 points per game, a little bit less than the 1.0 points per game he's used to. But considering the way he started the season, I think we'll take that, and he's only going to build into the middle year and then the final year of his 3-year contract, and then we get to figure out how much he's going to make 3 years from now, or 2 years from now. But for now, let's be happy that Pettersson has found his game. Let's be happy that that he's playing with a lot more confidence, a lot more swagger, doing more PD type things, whether it's the one-timer from the face-off dot, whether it's deking guys, whether it's hard back checking. I think there's a lot of things to like in PD's game. Last thing I'll say is he's had a lot of actually every single Canucks forward has had different line mates except for maybe Hamilco and Highmore. So PD has played on the wing for a little bit with Horvat. He's played with Garland. He's played a bit with Pearson. Not a lot with Miller. That's the one combination that they haven't really tried a lot, because even when Petey went to the wing, it was on Horvat's wing, not Miller's. So he's basically played with everyone up front, except for not a lot of Dickinson, because I just don't think that's a good pairing, and not a lot of Miller. But everyone else he has, Horvat, Besser, Pearson, Garland, and now most recently Höglander and Podkolzin. I really like the potential that line has. I'm not necessarily sold that that's the long-term fit, but if you can get some chemistry now, maybe we are seeing the early signs of a West Coast Express or of a Sedins and Burrows. I know it's really early, but those three players all have the skill set. They're all young. They all play the game the same way. So maybe we just got to give them some time. And I say for the most part, when they played together, they've actually played quite well together. I thought last night was, despite only the 10 minutes of ice time for Podkolzin and Höglander each, PD had 15 minutes of ice time, but a lot of that was power play time, which the two other guys don't get. I thought they played pretty well, and it resulted in that Podkolzin goal overall. So overall, I think PD's playing very well, and I think we as Canucks fans should be relieved, happy, and excited about what he's going to continue to do for the rest of the season and beyond. Canucks fans, be honest. Be honest with me. In the comments, tell me, how down were you on PD in the first 2 months of the season? And be honest. You can say, actually, I was pretty hard on him. Or you could say, no, I always knew that he was going to bounce back. I know, I will say that I was in that camp. I would always say, you got to be patient with him. And, he's just got to get his game back, his confidence back, his swagger back. And now we are seeing that. But let me know. Let me know in the comments below just how down you were on PD, or if you were down on him at all. And I guess as a contrary, tell me how excited you are for the way that he's found his game in the past month in particular. Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply as always. Shout out to my sponsors, Perform and Transform, personal training and weight loss. Sign up now for a free 7-day trial. Use the link in my video descriptions. And to Advanced City Experts Real Estate Group, contact Jason Lim and his team for all of your real estate needs. Thanks to legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Justin Credible, both of whom I saw last night, legendary Andrew Chang, Hero members, nucksfan number 29, not sure what happened there. Hall of Fame members, Jens95, simalexander, Chris Seifert, Adam Broomfield, Shannon Hollingworth, Hsmfangirl Gaming, Smooth Groove, Funk You, and Carol Bovenlander. Thanks for your support as always, and thanks to the support of all members of all levels. You are listed in my video descriptions. If you want to become a member of the CCC Crew, press the join button underneath this or my videos on the memberships tab on my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like this video if you'd like to. Become a member, upgrade if you'd like to. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to. What do you think of Petey's game the first 2 months of the season? How are you feeling about his game now? Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.